My sales days. Well, I'm filling nail holes like I just was in the last video. But basically, um, I used to be in woodworking and cabinetry sales. And I used to sell a whole bunch of different products to cabinet makers, woodworkers, and stuff. And we would have these conventions, and sometimes they're in Florida, and sometimes they're in Las Vegas, which is cool. It was fun to visit those places. Never, ever, ever would want to live in Las Vegas for sure. But Florida, maybe. There's good dirt biking there. Um, but anyways, I would go down and I would be one of the youngest sales guys at the entire convention. What I would call the rest of the people there is graybeards, which just is basically how I see the entire woodworking industry is just a bunch of, middle-aged to older men, and they're kind of phasing out. And there's really not a lot of young blood going into the woodworking industry, um, especially for like what I was doing. And so I'm gonna set you guys up over here. Um, so I would do like woodworking, cabinetry sales, and I would go to these conventions, and there was very few like young guys, in the industry. And eventually, one of the guys that did come through, he had worked at Harley Davidson in Wisconsin or Washington State, and he was a pretty cool guy. He his uncle was in the industry already, and typically when we get done with the convention down in Las Vegas, we go out to dinner with one of our vendors. So we go out and we have a really, really nice meal. If it's a Italian company, it's pretty much Italian. Um, if it's mostly Italian or German in that industry. And so we'd go to a fancy restaurant and we get dinner and we get drinks. And depending on who was with, sometimes we were with Australians. Australians like to party, I've noticed. And the Australian was pushing the new young guy, who, by the way, was like 6'7". He's a tall dude, big dude, and he was drinking quite a bit. And I was like, oh, well, he's a big dude. He can probably handle it. All these graybeards, they really want to see how much you can drink and if they can, outpace you and whatnot. It's like a fun little game for them. And most of them do. And I learned that. I don't think I learned that like the hard way or anything. I kept up pretty well, but I definitely learned that when I went for my first year down in Las Vegas. And this guy, he was young, younger than me, and he goes out for his first time. And at the dinner, he had, I don't know, 5 drinks. Wasn't really paying attention to how many drinks he was having, but it was a lot. And he ends up like disappearing and going to a different area after the, you know, fancy vendor dinner. He went somewhere else. We ended up meeting up with him on Fremont Street at like 2 o'clock in the morning. And we're all sitting around and we're all having fun seeing what there is on Fremont Street. It's kind of a crazy party all the time. And all of a sudden, like he comes up and I realize, oh, he's gone. He's like gone, gone. Like we're not on the same planet anymore. And I was thinking, guy from, I think he's originally from Michigan. Guy from Michigan works at Harley Davidson. I'm like, this kid is 6 foot. 7. Like, he definitely can drink. Like, I'd assume that he'd be fine. But nope. No, he was in rough shape. And we get to the end of the night. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning, and we're ordering like our last drink before we go back. And then we have to start our day at 6 o'clock in the morning at the convention. So you need to wake up at like 5 and then get dressed and go to the convention to work a booth after you've stayed up all hours of the night. And we're like, okay, whatever, we'll go back after this. He leans up against, there's I wouldn't say famous drink, but an iconic drink at on Fremont Street where it's like a big, tall, plushy margarita thing. And at that bar, towards the end of Fremont Street, he leans up against it, and then all of a sudden just starts slipping back, and falls to the ground. And I realize I'm like, oh, that's not good. I've cracked my skull multiple times. I have so many scars on the back of my head from just everything, dirt biking, rope swing, uh, anything really. Just so many scars. Every time that I've done a buzz cut, everyone always says, "Ooh, you sure do have a lot of scars back here." I don't know why I did a southern accent, but um, yeah. So we're sitting there, and he falls, hits his head. He's bleeding. Security guy comes up. Fremont Street is dead. There is not a soul out there except for us. And of course, we are the ones that have to then wake up in 2, 3 hours to go work the convention. Anyways, um, he is out of his mind. Um, Caught him sleeping, like he was like falling asleep in multiple places on Fremont Street. I'm like, and it was just babysitting him. And then he did this, and I was like, "Oh," I'm like, "that didn't look good." And he's a full-grown adult, and I'm, like, sitting there going, like, "Do you call an ambulance?" You know, because 'Cause he's been drinking, he hit his head, I'm worried about him, and then he stands back up like nothing is wrong, and I go, "Oh, good." I'm like, "He's" I mean, as far as I couldn't tell him, "Hey, you need to go to the hospital," but I was thinking it. And he goes back to his hotel, and he gets fired by his uncle like the next day. And I was like, ooh, I'm like, thinking about it, I'm like, you are one of the young guys that got accepted by all these older gentlemen in this industry, and you're supposed to be able to reasonably, I would say, hang out and hold your own, drink water, you're supposed to go out there to have, a lot of business meetings, and, you go out there to kind of build camaraderie with a bunch of people and build, and that's really important. And he just got wasted. I don't know if it was his fault or if he just never drinks or whatnot, but he lost his opportunity to be in sales, and that was really, really I was really, really sad for him. But yeah, it just ends up being like a whole graybeard industry, the woodworking industry. It's just there's no young guys in it, and it's a young guy. Everyone's always really nice to you if you're the only young guy, but they also don't think that you have much to offer, which is fine. You can be the underdog and then prove them right or wrong. Um, but anyways, another story from down in Las Vegas. I was down there, and my boss, he like, okay, so you're running a booth, and at the end of it, we're gonna have a distributor take all the stuff. And we're like, okay, end of the last day, he leaves. He's like, all right, yeah, at 2, just start packing up. So I start packing up. Everyone starts packing up. But I didn't realize that everyone else had like teams. They have like teams of people that are like helping them like coordinate, like get all these like shipping containers worth of product like the uh out of this place. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like I stole a dolly because I was like, well, I need oh, there we go. But anyways, this lady from the convention said, "You can't take our dolly. That costs 250 bucks." And I was like, "In no world does a dolly cost 250 bucks." So then I started like avoiding her and like sneaking down different pathways from the convention. I was like, "She's not gonna catch me this time." She kept catching me, and she's like, "If you do that one more time, I'm gonna call the police." Continued to do it, and she didn't do anything. I think she just was trying to like flower because as a convention, I don't even know if you call her security because she only did security for like the last, cleanup day. She only did cleanup or security for the last cleanup day. So are you really that powerful and whatnot security if you're only there for like the last day so no one like takes someone else's stuff? No. You're power tripping, you're subcontracted to do this, whatever. Like you don't actually care. You're just being mean. Anyways, I rush out every single piece, every single one of these cabinets full of an organizer, like a kitchen cabinet organizer, like a lazy Susan or like a trash pullout. I brought them all like like 2 football fields through the convention to the edge of the curb for this distributor. And the distributor was like, wow, that's it. But I only had 2 hours until my flight. So I just got them whatever I could. And then the rest I just hid in different spots around the convention and was like, yeah, that's good enough for me. But, anyways, I think rules are meant to be broken sometimes. And that was one of those instances down in Las Vegas where I was thinking that that was the case. But I also believe, you know, like there's certain things in life where you have to kind of, I don't know, do things a little differently. Otherwise, you don't have any life experiences. And I think that's very important, as you're growing up. Sound. Hello? Is there sound now? Hello? Hello? I can't tell. Do I have sound right now? All right. Well, I'll keep talking as if there is. But yeah. So anyways, we would get down to the hockey rink, and our buddy is like still really confident after seeing these kids with the baseball bats. And we're just like, dude, we should just apologize. Like, we're not gonna do very well in this fight. Like, we didn't bring shit. And we get down there. They drop all their baseball bats like almost immediately, which was kind of interesting. Didn't know what to think about that. And one of the guys runs after me. I guess we're running towards each other. And he tackles me to the ground. And then I realized, like, oh, because I have three brothers and I like know how to wrestle them and everything. And so I didn't have a problem with getting a hold of this guy and like actually taking him down. And that was fine. And then I ripped off his mask, and then he was one of my neighbors who is in the older grade, but he's one of my neighbors. And I was like, dude, what are you doing? And then he's like, oh, we're just messing with you, dude. And so we all like eventually figured out who was who. And they were like, well, we just wanted to see if, you would come and fight us and whatnot. And turns out you did. And we're just like, okay, cool, great, awesome. And that was interesting. I mean, I'm sure it's not as interesting of a story for them because they just chased a bunch of younger kids with baseball bats, but we got chased with baseball bats. And so it was very interesting to us for the rest of the night. And I think we didn't have any more issues with my buddy spraying any Axe body spray in the gym. That was cool. But there was one other time that we snuck out of our parents' house and we uh, we snuck out and we were going ding dong ditching. That's what I call it. That's what me and my family call it. We're going ding dong ditching, and my buddy saw a group of kids, teenagers who could drive. We were like 15, 13 and whatnot. And he shouted at them something, like swore at them or something like that. He basically swore at them, and they got in their car and they started chasing us. And we were just like, oh, all right, cool. Like, that's uh sorry, I'm trying to figure out if you guys can actually hear me or not. Um, but yeah, so like we oh um basically, sorry. Trying to see if you guys can hear me or not. If you guys can't, then let me I don't understand. Can't tell you if you guys can hear me or not. Hmm. All right. Well, anyways, um, says a nasty thing to a couple kids down the way. We were sitting like 2 blocks away from them. We start running. We run to the nearest uh kind of lot that we could hide in, which happened to be the church that I live across from now. And we we like start to like hide in the bushes. Start to hide in the bushes. and they stop right in front of us, and they get out, and they know that we're there, and it's like, oh shit, we're screwed. We're about to get our asses kicked. So we start running, and me and one of my younger brothers run in one direction. Another brother stays hidden, thinks he's gonna hide it out. Um, and then another brother actually tries to run out of the bushes and knees one of our other buddies in the head by accident as he's running out. And so me and the younger brother, one of the younger brothers, run out. Guy grabs me by the back of my shirt and yanks me back, rips my shirt completely open, and I go, "Oh shit." I'm like, "Oh no." I'm like, "He really means business. He seems like he's going to kick my ass." And he like stands over me, keeps ripping or like pulling on my shirt like to get me up and then push me down and whatnot. And then he starts chasing after my little brother and he pushes him down. And then he starts picking him up and pushing him down. Cause I don't think he wanted to like beat us up. I think he just wanted to like scare us. And he was doing that. And I was like getting mad at him because I didn't want him to hurt my little brother. I thought that that was kind of scary to see. I've never seen anyone go after my little brother like that. And so I go after him and I start pushing him to the ground. And then he's like, "Did you guys say that thing to us?" And I was like, "No, I didn't say it. And neither did him." I pointed to my little brother and he's like, "Well, who did?" And I was like, "I don't know, someone from our group." Meanwhile, my other younger brother who kneed uh the guy our buddy in the head as he was jumping out of the bushes, he got away. The kid that was kneed in the head though, he gets picked up by one of the teenagers and held against the church wall and told like who the hell are you or whatnot. And he says his name, and I won't say his name just for privacy's sake, but let's just say it's Mark. He's like it's Mark. And the kid recognized him. He goes, "Mark?" He's like, "Oh, Mark, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to like scare you guys like that." And it was really funny. Like after that, he like called all of his buddies, messaged them, said, the hunt's off. We're not gonna kill these little kids anymore. And so we all made it and we like hit at the baseball diamond and we all like met back up. We called it a night after that. But yeah, it was really fun hanging out with those guys. And when we were young, it was a good time. Another thing that I did in high school was I had like I had what would that class be? Accounting. And we did that and it was really boring and don't really care for like I like science, but I don't really care for like math and stuff. You're going right here. And so accounting is a lot of math, right? So in the back of the class, I would get bored, and you know how like you have like notepads, and you have that part that attaches to the like the metal spring that holds it all together. Well, I would take those ends, those little strips, after you peel them off the piece of paper, and I would basically like fold them over each other, kind of like just back and forth. And that would end up kind of looking like a origami kind of worm looking thing. And I had just watched like South Park or something like that. And so when someone asked me, "Oh, cool, like what is that?" Oh, I was like, "Oh, it's a butt worm." I was just being done. It was just a stupid reply. And then there's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just call it a butt worm or whatever." And I was like, they're like, "Oh, okay." There's like, "Can you show me how to make them?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." Then I started showing everyone in the back of the class how to make these little accordion like worm things, and at the end of the class, like at the end of the classroom like period, we had like, I don't know, like 30 of them made. And then I said to all of them, I was like, well, wouldn't it be funny if we placed them all around the school and like, people would just get really confused about like what they are, why they are. And so they did. And I started telling my friends, I'm like, we need to make like a lot more of these. I'm like, this will be like fun. And so we started making them. And so we're making these little accordion worms. And the next day we had like two trash bags full of these little accordion worms. And it was super funny because we just started like putting them all over the school. Like we would go to our favorite teachers and we would like place it all over the classroom. And they would be like, "Oh, what is this?" And of course, because you're not gonna say it's a butt worm to a teacher, we said, "Oh, they're bot worms," like a bot fly, like a bot worm. And the teachers were like, "Oh, yeah, of course, a bot worm." And I was like, "Yeah." And it's just so funny. Like, eventually, they found out the real name for them and didn't get in trouble. Just told never to do that ever again. And we were like, okay, sounds good. But yeah, I don't know. It's if you guys have any interesting stories, I would love to hear them. If you can comment down below, subscribe. I kind of plan to do this a little bit more. If you guys feel interested, um, I don't mind talking to myself. I don't really want to do a podcast, but I don't really want to like edit videos. I used to edit videos all the time and it's fun, but it is really time consuming. And instead of doing that, if I'm doing something where I could talk to you guys, I will do that instead. But yeah, it was nice seeing you guys, and I will talk to you guys later. All right, see ya.